Hi everyone, this is JamshedQureshi here. In the previous video we had learned the definition of lifecycle hooks, and in this video we will look at the examples of how to implement them. So let's create a component for this. We will go to our command line. So we will write ngGC, that will be generate component, and this would be topic number 23, lifecycle hooks in Angular, or say lifecycle hooks practical, and we will skip tests. Okay, let's run our application and see our component. So we have it over here. So the first function that runs when a component is loaded is the constructor. So let's create our constructor over here. So we will check which functions are running first by doing a console log in our functions. In that way we will know which functions are running in order. So in our constructor we will write inside constructor, and from our lifecycle hooks, the first lifecycle hook that runs is ngOnChanges. So we will implement that. We will import that from our Angular core module, and we will quickly implement that. We are getting a quick fix over here. We will implement that interface. Okay, now let's write our console.log inside ngOnChanges as well. Inside onChanges, and the parameter that ngOnChanges takes is the simple changes. Basically, ngOnChanges is triggered whenever our input field input property of that component is changed from the parent component, and we get the changes in the simple changes parameter. We get the current change as well as the previous change value in that parameter. So let's try and run this component without having any input field and see if our ngOnChanges triggers or not. So we will copy the component selector and add it to our component file. Okay, we will remove this previous selector. Hopefully in our next videos we will start with the router module. Let's save all of our files and go to the browser. Here we are. Let's inspect our browser page. We will go to console and refresh our application, and here we can see we are only running the constructor console. We are not getting any value from our ngOnChanges. That is because we are not having any input field in our component. So let's add a variable which is coming from a parent. Let's say we have a variable over here and we are using the input decorator to get the value from the parent. So we will write our decorator name input, and we will write the name product. Let's say we are getting a product over here, and which is of type string. Okay, and we will initialize it to an empty string. Now we will add this input decorator in the selector of our component. So we will go to our app component file, and here we will add the directive for our input decorator, that was product. Say we are directly adding the product as a string over here, say laptop, and we are outputting this product in our HTML file. Okay, let's save and see. Let's go to our browser, and here we can see we have our constructor as well as our inside onChanges console log here in the web console. So how does this ngOnChanges triggered? That was because we are having an input decorator in our component variable, and we are getting the value. So whenever any input decorator in our component changes, our ngOnChanges function is triggered. So let's try and console this changes parameter and see what it gives us. So let's save. So when we open this product, it gives us the current value as well as the previous value. Since this is the current value, we have not changed the value. The previous value is undefined, and it is also mentioning that this is the first change, which means that it is the initial value. If we would have changed the value somehow, then we would have also get the previous value, and this first change would have been false. So ngOnChanges is a very important lifecycle hook if your component has variables that are dependent on input decorators and are getting the value from its parent component. Now after ngOnChanges, we have the ngOnInit lifecycle hook. So let's implement that as well. We will write ngOnInit, and again we will write console.log inside onInit. Let's save and go to our browser. Now whenever our page refreshes, you can see the order in which our console logs are getting executed. First we are getting constructor, then we are getting ngOnChanges, and then we are getting ngOnInit. So whenever we have any dependencies, we define them in our constructor, say for example the HTTP service, and if we have to make or populate the data, we call the service function in our ngOnInit. So whatever initialization you have to do in your component, you will do it in ngOnInit function. Say for example any service call or any HTTP call. Then after ngOnInit, we have the ngDoCheck lifecycle hook. So let's implement that. Okay, we'll implement that function. And we will just remove this parameter. So the main functionality of ngDoCheck is fetching the change detection. So let's save and see it in the browser. So now here you can see we have our constructor ngOnChanges, ngOnInit, and we have ngDoCheck triggering 3 times. That could be because we are getting our laptop value from our parent component, and that change has triggered the change detection in our UI because initially our product value is empty and we get the value from our parent and the UI is updated, and that is when our doCheck function gets called. Let's say I have a button over here, and if I click on it, at that time as well this ngDoCheck function will be triggered and we would be able to see the console over here. So let's create a button and change our product value and see if ngDoCheck triggers or not. We will create a function over here, change product. We will change the product value from laptop to say monitor, and in our HTML we will create a button and give it a value of change product and a class of button and button dash primary along with a click event that will trigger change product. So let's save and see. We will go to our browser now. So we have our initial console logs over here. We will clear the console, and let's now click the button and see if ngDoCheck triggers or not. So as soon as I click the change product button, our product value is changed from laptop to monitor, and since it has manipulated the DOM, it has refreshed the DOM, our ngDoCheck is also getting triggered. So you can take ngDoCheck as a function whenever our change detection is triggered, mostly because of UI changes. So we will stop this video with these lifecycle hooks. We will continue with the rest ones in the next video. If you like the video, then please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you and see you in the next video.